Am I the a-hole for telling my mom if I wanted to watch kids, I'd have one after declining babysitting? My 25 female younger sister 21 female is pretty pregnant. For the last few weeks, she has been demanding that my significant other 27 male and I babysit her newborn every weekend, Friday morning to Sunday evening, so she and her significant other 21 male can have some cool off time from being parents to not overstress. Each time, I have laughed at her and shut it down with a quick, "Nope, I won't be." And she gets mad I'm not helping her out. Yesterday, she got our mother involved. Mom called me to ask why I was being a self-centered witch and so selfish because she didn't raise me this way. I told her I'm a grown woman with my own house and life, and that if I wanted to watch kids as a second job, I'd freaking have some. She sputtered out something about me being a horrible person and hung up on me. My significant other and my aunt 100% are with me. However, my mom, dad, and the other 900 family members and friends they got involved are calling me out on Facebook and blowing up my phone. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edit. My relationship with the family has come up a few times now, so I'd like to point out, I don't generally have much to do with them. I talk to my mom maybe twice a month. My sister was a little more than that. I talk to my youngest sister, 16 female, my one aunt, and my grandparents regularly. But that's everyone. While I haven't cut anyone out, I simply do not engage or interact with anyone outside of the 3 hours on Christmas we are all together. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole, but your sister and her husband are. They are nuts to plan to part with a newborn for 60 hours straight every week. The fact that everyone else in your family sees this as okay is wild. You and your aunt are literally the only sane people in your family. I'd correct the sister. This is called joint custody, not babysitting. Not a-hole. Divorced dads get less custody than this, and they definitely wouldn't get this much time with a newborn. Not a-hole. And also, lol, what? So let me get this straight. Your sister and her significant other are having a baby, but they want every weekend off so they can go have fun while you watch their child. Every weekend? Yeah, sounds like they should have thought twice before getting her pregnant. This is not how that works. I had my son at 21, and guess what I did at most weekends? It's called being a parent. Ridiculous entitled nonsense is what I'd call your sister's behavior, and I absolutely fail to understand why your family is agreeing with her. If your parents think she should have every weekend off, they can watch the child. Oh yeah, my cousin has 3 kids, and guess what she doesn't have for the past 12 years? Right, a free weekend. Everyone is lucky if they have grandparents to watch the kids for an afternoon, but if you sign up for the little ones, then you know that some freedoms are gone for a while. Not a-hole. What sane person expects someone else to take care of their child every weekend? Given the fact that mom immediately had her back on the idea, I'm going with someone who has probably gotten away with making various and reasonable demands a lot in the past 21 years. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for firing my sister after she threw out my son's pine cones? This happened over a week ago. I, 30 male, need to know if I was an a-hole or not. My son, 7, passed away from a heart condition he had. It'll be 2 years in July, and my world still hasn't been the same without him. Ever since he was 5, my son had an obsession with collecting pine cones. He loved them for some reason. Every trip to the park or hiking trail, he'd come home with a bag of pine cones picked out. I helped him preserve them, so they would last way longer. It became a fun activity for us to do at home. His last Christmas, he gifted me a pine cone he painted himself, and it was the best gift ever. I kept all his pine cones stored away since he passed. Sometimes on bad days, I like to take them out and admire them. A couple months ago, my sister lost her job. She's a housekeeper, and my parents urged me to help her out by hiring her to clean my house. That wasn't an issue for me. The problem with my sister is everything needs to be cleaned her way, or she throws out things she deems aren't worth keeping. For instance, my late wife's old sketchbooks that she found in my garage, or my old guitar that I don't play as often as I used to, but still keep in good condition, my old wood carvings, etc. I've had to tell her that unless it's in the trash can, don't throw it out without checking in with me. I came home the other day and saw my storage closet nearly empty. One of the things missing were my son's pine cones. She wanted to surprise me, but I was so overwhelmed I told her to leave or I was going to scream at her. She texted me later to ask what she did wrong. She just saw that it needed to be tidied up and thought I wouldn't be too mad. I called to tell her she's fired for throwing out my son's pine cones because she knows how much he loved collecting them. Her defense was they weren't really necessary to keep around when I have other things of my son's, like his toys and drawings. But this was specifically something that he loved so very much. Now it feels like a piece of him has been taken from me and I don't want her in my house again. My sister begged to keep this job because she was relying on this and to give her another chance. But I couldn't bring myself to that. Everyone is mad at me for leaving her without a job. My mom is angry at my sister for what she did and told her off for being insensitive. However, she feels that losing income shouldn't be a punishment for hurt feelings. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She was doing her job poorly. Imagine if she did this with other clients. She would lose her job then too. She can't just decide what's get thrown away or not. Also, she should have immediately apologized for what she threw away, instead of digging her heels in and trying to justify it. Sounds like she has thrown away a bunch of important things to you. But I'm surprised you let her stay on as your housekeeper this long. Oh, the things I mentioned she didn't actually throw out, like my late wife's stuff, but she insisted they should be because why would I want that when I don't use it? It was the fact she kept pushing it that made me order her not to throw anything out without my permission. I probably would have had the same reaction if she had thrown them out like she did with my son's pine cones. Yep, bearing an imminent danger like a pileup of human waste or extreme hoarder conditions, she doesn't get to decide for herself what to throw away, much less do so. She clearly knew how important the pine cones were to Opie and didn't care about his wishes. She lost her job because of her actions, period. Wow, I can't imagine why she lost her first job as a housekeeper. You are not an a-hole. No housekeeper should be making decisions about personal belongings. It's even worse if she knew they had sentimental value to you. Not an a-hole. A housekeeper is not allowed to destroy possessions of the homeowner, unless they specifically ask her to. She was probably fired from prior jobs for the same shenanigans, and her lack of income is her problem, not yours. Not an a-hole. And if this is how she acts, I'm surprised she ever had a housekeeping job to lose in the first place. It's not even like she thought you would want them to be thrown out. She knew what they meant to you and your son. She had no right. I'd never let her back in my house, let alone on my payroll. Also, she feels that losing income shouldn't be punished by hurt feelings? The absolute audacity. Hurt feelings? How about losing income over destruction of property? You know, the crime she committed? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for letting my brother and his wife watch our 4-month-old daughter without asking my wife? My wife and I have a 4-month-old baby girl. So far, only one person has allowed to watch the baby, wife's best friend. Her best friend is a good caregiver, and she's a mom herself, but she's not like super nanny or anything. Just a normal person. My brother and his wife have been begging to watch the baby for us, but my wife always says no. My brother's wife is a certified newborn care specialist and lactation consultant. Not saying she's any better or worse than wife's best friend, but I think it's safe to say she'd do a great job of taking care of our baby girl. Yesterday, my wife was at work and I needed to take my car up to the shop for an oil change and inspection. It had to be done today as my guy won't be to shop again until after the 4th, so my inspection would expire by then. I didn't think it'd be fun for my little one to sit in a stinky gas station auto shop for a few hours, so I dropped her off with my brother and his wife. Well, now I'm in the doghouse. 1, for not asking her first, and 2, for letting someone else watch the baby who isn't wife's best friend. I didn't ask because I didn't think it was necessary. I knew 100% that our baby would be well cared for. I was within 10-minute drive, and both my brother and his wife have cars with a car seat. They had all the supplies they needed. My wife's job is also within 10 minutes of their house. My wife is upset because she doesn't want a bunch of people watching our baby, which I get, but it was just my brother and his wife. I don't plan on sending her to Grandma next weekend, Aunt Edna the next, and Cousin Jimmy the week after that. Just one day with her aunt and uncle, 4 hours total. She thinks we need a consistent person to watch her, her best friend. Now for the comments. Not Dayhall. I'm guessing this is your first child, and your wife sounds like she's a little over-anxious about the baby, which is totally normal, but just because her feelings are normal, that doesn't mean she's in the right. Unfortunately though, as you both navigate parenthood, you are going to have to find a balance because if you continue down a path of whatever she says goes, you will likely end up resenting her, and it can do damage to you, your marriage, and how you are as a parent. Baby steps. Apologize for not telling her ahead of time, but tell her that it's not okay for her to make these decisions unilaterally. Fight about it, then find a compromise. Hijacking top comment to suggest that maybe postpartum anxiety is playing a part in his wife's decision. It's real and can really affect new moms in a harsh way. Thank you. I was about to say the same. My postpartum anxiety and depression spiraled so far out of control and mixed with my regular poor mental health. I diagnosed depression and anxiety even before that. And basically it became so much worse than it should have been. I'm now barely able to leave the house without feeling physically sick to my stomach from panic, and my kid is 6.5 now. Opie, please make sure your wife is okay. That drop in hormones from pregnancy and birth, mixed with everything else, is absolute hell on a number of new mothers. I'm not saying that what happened to me could happen to your wife, but please make sure it's not PPA or PPD, because it's so hard. Not day hull. You left your child with trusted family. She's 4 months old, not 4 weeks. I suspect she's probably in her routine and was just fine spending time with uncle and aunt. My brother's wife is certified newborn care specialist and lactation consultant. That sounds more qualified than your wife's friend as someone to watch the child for a brief period. You need to talk to your wife and figure out why she's so weird about this. The only reason I think he's the a-hole is because he did it knowing full well how his wife felt about it. Everyone sucks here. You went behind your wife's back, which is wrong. But your wife needs to understand that you may need additional people who can babysit if necessary. Just one person, her BFF, isn't enough. I don't think it was so much behind her back, as he made an executive decision because she was at work. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for including my ex's daughter in my life? Sleepovers, vacation, etc. Sorry if any of this gets confusing. I have a 5-year-old daughter, Annie, with my ex. My ex also has an 8-year-old daughter, Elsie. Ex and I broke up when Annie was a little under 2 years old. It was really hard getting her for overnights because she has never been away from her home/mom overnight. We realized that she did much better if her older sister was there, so she started coming too. Annie has no issue staying the night by herself now, but since I had to kind of keep playing stepdad after Ex and I broke up, Elsie and I do have a bond of some sort. She will come stay the night most of the time, unless she has other plans, or her mom requests she stays home for some reason. My girlfriend and I are trying to plan a little last-minute vacation for August. We are going somewhere very family-friendly, so I said we should ask if Elsie wants to join. Elsie has been on vacations with just Annie and I before. Girlfriend let out a big sigh when I said this. I was confused, because up until this point, she's never expressed any issues with Elsie being around. We got to talking, and she basically asked, when will this end? When Elsie is a teenager? When she graduates high school? When she gets married? Never? I didn't know what to say because Elsie and Annie will always be sisters. So yeah, it will probably never end. Elsie is a good kid and Annie adores her, so I have had zero hesitations about ever inviting her along to hang out with us. Plus, I do feel bad for Elsie. X is a good mom doll, but she can't really afford much outside of basic necessities and the occasional treat. There are lots of things Elsie gets to do with us that her mom could simply not afford. And I feel like I sort of owe it to Elsie. The only reason she started coming over was to help comfort her sister, and she still is a big help with Annie. My girlfriend is not happy with this situation suddenly. She's apparently been holding out hope that things were just like this because of the pandemic, but it's very concerning and inappropriate to know that it's not the case. Am I the a-hole for still inviting Elsie to hang out with us even if she's not my kid and I have no legal obligation to her? Not the a-hole. You don't have an obligation to include Elsie, but it shows what a kind heart you have to do so. It would be very sad if you chose to cut her out completely just because your new girlfriend is jealous. Your girlfriend is showing you how immature she is on this issue. If you give in on this with her, next she's going to be going after your daughter too. You need to set her straight that this is how your life is with your daughter and her half-sibling. If girlfriend doesn't like it, she's welcome to leave. Yep, this feels like the beginning of a slippery slope. Elsie was also Opie's stepdaughter when he was with her mom/his ex, It's not like she's a younger half-sibling that Opie has no relationship with. I suspect girlfriend didn't realize how involved of a dad Opie is until recently, and is now reconsidering if she signed up for all that. Yeah, I could understand if she decides it isn't for her and Bales, but you can't say this was unexpected when she dated someone with a former partner and a kid. Not at a-hole. First of all, I think it's great that you're including both sisters and treating them as they are. Sisters. You sound like a great dad to Annie and overall a nice dude. I think your girlfriend needs to understand that this is the deal. You come with a kid, and the kid comes with a sister. Both of them are part of your family now. She's not the one to decide who gets to be part of your life. She can either accept that Elsie is part of your family or move on. Please don't reject Elsie because of this. Not at a-hole. But one thing to think on is how long before the girlfriend starts saying the same thing about Annie. The latest I can imagine is when she has her own child with him. Exactly. It'll be, can we ever just do anything with just our family? Am I the a-hole for telling my younger sister I'm not her parent and don't owe her anything? I, 23 female, have 2 younger siblings. My sister is 16 and my brother is 14. When my parents had my sister, they approached my being a sibling as a job, and they stuck with that story for the rest of my childhood. They said it was my job to teach them things, to look out for them, look after them when needed. Then it was to help with homework, walk home from school and walk to friends' houses when they wanted to go. Then it was my job to plan and take them out for sibling time. It would be my job to always have space and time for them whenever they needed it. That, as the big sister, I owe them that, and my siblings were more than happy with it. When I lived at home, they always demanded my time or attention. I had to help with homework every day. And most of it is regular sibling stuff, but they came to expect me to drop everything for them the way a parent might. Like if they were struggling and I was in the middle of my homework, I had to stop doing mine to help with theirs. If I had plans and they wanted to go someplace, I had to cancel my plans. It's my parents' fault. But more than once, I tried talking to them about how I deserve to have my life and do my own thing too. And then I moved out, and I would get calls all the time from my family about it. Over time, my brother stopped, and our relationship got a bit easier. But my sister never changed. She would call and tell me she wanted to stay the weekend with me, or she wanted me to take her to a concert, or that mom and dad told her I was supposed to take her shopping, or that she saw something in the store and I had to buy it for her. I told her twice in the last 2 years that I was not going to drop everything and do what she wanted, and she needed to get better at asking for the stuff. When I spoke to my parents, they said it was my obligation as a big sister to do these things, so they were no help. Now, my sister got invited to some fake prom with her boyfriend because prom wasn't going ahead in her school this year. She calls and tells me she needs me to take her dress shopping, that she knows the dress she wants and everything, and that I need to bring $300. I tell her no. She ignores me and tells me they want to stay at my place after this prom, and that I need to give her a key to my place to make it easier. I cut her off and tell her no, that none of this is happening. She whines, and I tell her whining won't change it. She then tells me it's not fair, and that I owe her this. I snapped. I told her I am not her parent, and I don't owe her a damn thing. That she does not get to make demands of me because I'm older, because this is not some job like our parents always said. And if she can't accept that, then she needs to stop calling me. I'm the a-hole in this according to my parents and sister. Parents read me the right act, or started to, but I hung up. They are still pissed 5 weeks later. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your parents, on the other hand, are. Look up parentification. They dropped their responsibility onto you. Your sister unfortunately has had this normalized for her, and this is still more on your parents than her. But she needs to have her eyes opened, and you giving her the truth on that is good for her and not being an a-hole. Exactly. Not an a-hole. Your sister needs to wake up and realize that technically she owes you, not you owing her. She needs to realize that what your parents did is not okay, and it may be best to go no contact with them all for a while. Your parents and your sister are major a-holes, expecting you to pay $300 on a dress. She's really entitled, and should get a job if she wants to spend that much in one dress. You know that you are not an a-hole. Draw the boundaries firmly and don't budge. You've been a third parent for far too long. Sounds like she was the only parent. Not an a-hole at all. But keep in mind that this was a horrible thing your parents did. Your sister simply grew up brainwashed into thinking it was the norm. Sit your sister down and explain everything. From the terrible job your parents did as parents, or lack thereof, and direct your anger and resentment towards the people who actually deserve it. Your sister needs to grow up, but I think that a thorough explanation is the best way to proceed, to see if she understands and hopefully changes. I explained it to her before and nothing changed. She carried on like I had said nothing. Because why change something that works to her benefit? Especially since she knows your parents will always take her side. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for shutting my sister out after she told our mom something I admitted to her in confidence? My sister, 15 female, and I 16 female, lost our dad 8 years ago. 4 years ago, our mom remarried. Her husband came with 2 kids of his own, 11 male and 7 female, and they have a baby together, 4 months old male. I admitted to my sister a while ago that I hadn't been on board when our mom first told us she was getting married again, and that I really only accepted for her, but not for me. I admitted I don't love them or see them the same I see her, mom or dad, and that I will probably always be detached because this is not the way I would have ever chosen my family to me, but I don't want to ruin mom's happiness. I admitted this to her because my sister always suspected. She noticed differences. Remembered how I would always invite her into my bed when she had nightmares, versus not really doing anything like that if one of our step-siblings did. Or how I am affectionate with her, not them or our half-brother. And how I never really tell our mom's husband anything about me like I do mom. And how most stuff comes through her to him. She pressed, and I was honest. I told her not to tell them because it didn't need to be a big deal. She promised she wouldn't. Well, she told our mom. Pretty much everything. And then my mom decided the 3 of us, me, her, and her husband, need family therapy so they can figure out a way to get me to welcome them into my heart the way she wants me to. And now I'm stuck in family therapy with them trying to achieve a goal I don't want to achieve. And I'm so pissed off with my sister. She told me she did it so we could be one big happy family. And I told her she betrayed my trust, and she can never ever expect me to come to her again because I know she won't keep a promise to herself. She was upset. And now she's even more upset because I am not the same with her anymore. The way I look at it is, she broke my trust when I wasn't going to tell her anyway. But then she pushed and then promised to keep it, and she didn't. My mom told me I'm being mean and that my sister did the right thing telling her. She told me I should have been open with her so we could have done therapy together sooner. I told her I never wanted to go to therapy with them, and I didn't want this big deal being made out of it. She told me that regardless, I shouldn't shut my sister out, and it's hurtful and mean. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your mother and your sister are for trying to force something. Take a try therapy and see if you can find a happy spot for you. And if it doesn't work, you need to show your mother that if she didn't realize for over 4 years, it means that you are respectful to the rest of your family, and you have preferences, and that isn't a bad thing. That's basically always been my plan. I would feel how I feel, but I treat them with respect and I never plan to tell anyone. I wish I hadn't now. I'm so freaking pissed about it now. I can't even trust my own sister. Make sure you say these things in therapy too. Might as well if they're forcing you to go. Let them know they have the basic level of respect from you and always will. Obviously they didn't notice for however long, so what's the difference now? And you were absolutely betrayed by your sister. Trust was broken, and now your mother can't even trust that you know your feelings better than them. Yes, the therapist needs to understand the whole picture here, how Opie's confidence was betrayed, and that's what led them to therapy. Because it sure sounds like her behavior was acceptable since mom and stepdad didn't suspect anything. So why are they there? If I were OP, I'd tell the therapist that, and maybe on the 3rd session just say in a monotone, I accept them into my heart. All good now? But I'm petty. Not the a-hole, but be honest in therapy. The therapist may be able to set your mom straight about not being able to force family feelings. No a-holes here. You're 16 and your sister is 15. I'm not going to insult your intelligence or maturity by pointing out how young you both are, but please keep that in mind. You sound mature for your age, and your sister sounds like a 15-year-old trying to understand the dynamic of what's going on and looked to her big sister. She was misguided and wrong for what she did, but not malicious. Your anger isn't wrong or not warranted, but use that advanced maturity for some perspective. Your mom and stepdad or whatever, deal with the therapy, but be clear that you don't want to be there. Your sister, on the other hand, deserves a hug and a talk about how you and her are a team and need to have each other's back. She didn't do something to hurt you. She thought with her 15-year-old brain that she was actually helping. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my sister for stealing? My little sister, 16, has had her fair share of behavior issues throughout the past few years. She doesn't keep up with school, lies, and was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, along with everyone else in our family. Since the beginning of this year, her behavior has gotten worse. She's been frequently lying and doctoring stories, as well as doing illegal activities in and out of the house with zero consequences. A few weeks ago, she had called me and told me along with everyone else in family that she had bought me tickets to my favorite artist's concert in the fall. I obviously questioned it and kept telling her not to lie to me, but she insisted it was true, so I got very excited. 2 weeks. I later noticed that she kept buying very expensive items, such as a PC, new shoes, makeup, more electronics, etc., but I figured it was because she got a new job and was making better money. For the more expensive items like the PC, she told me it was a gift from a family member for her birthday, which was the week prior. She even went as far as to fake a phone call with said family member to thank them for such a wonderful gift. While she was having the time of her life, I was on a completely different path. A week before her birthday, my car's engine blew. I should note that I'm a college student who works minimum wage, and it would have been out of my price range to even try to afford a new engine, so the car got towed. I was devastated. My parents and my grandma decided to help me by getting some money together, about $6,000, and give it to me to buy a new car. About a week after I noticed my sister was buying these expensive products, I finally found my dream car. My parents and I went to grab the money from our safe to go and buy the car, when we realized about $3,000 was missing from the envelopes we put together. My dad immediately checked my little sister's bank account to find a $1,200 deposit via ATM that week. We also found receipts from purchases that she made with the remaining cash. When we confronted my sister, she said she didn't know why she took the money. I was, and still am, devastated that my own blood would steal from me. But my parents, more so my dad whose sister did the same thing, wants me to forgive her because she's apologized for it. I told him hell no, and that she has yet to apologize to me, and that I have no intentions in having her in my life when she's acting like this. My dad says she's going through a tough time and needs our help. So am I the a-hole? Edit. I want to add that as soon as my parents found out, we took her to return as much as we could. They were also devastated. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. She stole from you, hasn't even apologized or offered an explanation, and your dad is expecting you to just forgive her and move on? Has she replaced the money she stole? If they still have the receipts, they should make her return the stuff she bought, and then they could get some of the money back. But what do you want to bet their dad won't make her since she's going through a hard time? Not the a-hole. When your father continues to baby your sister, he is going to get even worse results. Sister needs to be put on a repayment plan, either through getting a job, chores, or some other way to pay off her debt. You have no reason to continue to enable a thief. This girl is on a path to stealing from someone who will either have her charged or will want their own revenge. You don't have to tolerate or forgive her for lying, stealing, etc. And yes, you can decide you don't want her in your life, especially if her behavior doesn't improve. If your dad wants to try to mend bridges, he should start by having her pay back the money she took and apologize directly to you. Telling you to forgive her without having her put in the work of making amends is pretty bad parenting in my opinion, and only sets her up to being able to continue acting like this because there's no consequences, it sounds like. Did your parents punish her at all? They're both in a state of shock and they blame themselves. I don't know that they didn't hold a gun to her head and make her steal things. They stripped her room down to a bed, a dresser, and a light. Then they took her phone for a couple days and made her return everything she could. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my siblings half-sister a birthday gift? I, 18 female, have two half-siblings from my mom's former marriage. When my mom was married to their dad, he cheated and got another woman pregnant, resulting in their half-sister. Mom and her ex stayed together for 4 more years, but my mom ultimately couldn't get over it and they divorced last year. I always knew what the situation was and never bonded with her half-sister. So after my mom and her ex separated, my relationship with her was all but done. Of course, I expect to see her for certain things, but you know. Her birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and my half-sibling's dad got all pissed because I didn't give her anything. But she knows I get my siblings gifts. It seems they have brought stuff from moms to their dads, and have talked about the stuff I get them around her, and she was upset. He decided to call me up and tell me what I did was horrible. That to her, I'm her sister, and I should have made more of an effort to be part of her life. That I should love her, but at the very least, I should be willing to send her gifts for her birthday and Christmas. I told him to buzz off. That his daughter has nothing to do with me, and I don't need to do anything. He raged at my mom then because I refused and cursed at him. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your only connection to this child is your former stepfather. How is this even an expectation on his part? If the child had been born after he and your mom divorced and wasn't the result of an affair while they were married, would he still expect you to give her gifts? He needs to GTFO with that nonsense. I know you meant your question rhetorically, but any dude willing to call his ex-stepdaughter to demand a gift for his affair child probably would demand a gift in other mind-blowing situations. He's just that awful. Not the a-hole. Does she give you gifts? You're not related to her at all. There is a connection, but it is not a family connection. It is on her parents to manage her expectations and make her realize that while her siblings have a connection with you, she does not. She cannot expect everyone she knows to give her gifts. Also, does your stepdad or even a child's mother still give the OP birthday and Christmas gifts? Seems like entitled people asking for ridiculous things. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Having exactly one parent in common is one thing. It has sparked many discussions and all manner of disputes. Having 0 parents in common is another thing. Sure, you giving gifts to her would be a remarkably generous gesture, but she has 0 standing to expect them from you. Not the a-hole. Not your infidelity, not your problem. Nobody can demand that you have a relationship with somebody. My sister has a half-brother, and while we are cordial, we don't ever exchange gifts or anything. We're not siblings. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that the adoptive parents have a point for no longer contacting her? My sister gave birth to her twins, boy and girl, in June of 2020. She had been living with me before then after being evicted. I have 3 kids and work full-time, and I told her if she was going to keep her babies, she was going to have to find other living spaces. I have 2-bedroom and it's cramped already. I'm not sacrificing my room to share with her and 2 newborns. She said okay. When she was 6 months pregnant, she said she was going to give her baby up for adoption and contacted this top adoption agency, and they sent her a pamphlet of potential parents. I was shocked, since she never brought up giving them up for adoptions. I felt guilty, so I told her if she got a job and paid me $400 a month, maybe we could find a 3-bedroom. But she said she doesn't want to be a mom, and that she's made up her mind. She ended up choosing a very wealthy couple for her baby. They both made 6 figures and had a very clean, squeaky look to them. I told her they looked stuck up, and she said she wanted her twins to live an upper-class lifestyle. The agency and couple flew her out to their city in a 5-star hotel for the rest of her pregnancy. It was supposed to be an open adoption, and when my sister came back, they did send pictures once a month by mail. Then when the twins were about 6 months old, all of a sudden they ghosted my sister, deleted all their social media handles to probably create new ones, and even moved. My sister had a breakdown and I was equally shocked. The agency brushed her off and said the parents have the right to do whatever they want, and told her not to call again unless she was pregnant. For weeks I pitied my sister, until she got drunk and told me something. She said that she texted the adoptive mom that she needed $2,000 because she wants to go back to school or something, and the mom told her she doesn't feel comfortable with my sister messaging her asking for money. And my sister told her that they're beyond rich and that $2,000 is what they spend in a day, so they're not hurting. And that's when they ghosted her. That changed things for me. And I told my sister that she shouldn't have done that, and that maybe they had a point. She started crying, and is still giving me the cold shoulder. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not day home. She chose rich parents so she could get something out of it. The adoptive parents realized this and went no contact. Hopefully she realizes her mistake and doesn't pull this if her biological kids ever try to contact her. That's what I thought too. I told her to choose another couple that seemed sweeter, but she only cared about money. Edit for those confused. There's a lot of options to choose from in the book they send you, and my top choice sadly wasn't chosen. I hope they do end up adopting a baby one day, whoever they are. They seemed very chill. My sister said she wanted her kids to have rich parents. I don't think choosing a couple that seemed sweeter would have really helped the situation. Even the sweetest couple ever would be questioning her motives and ability to maintain healthy boundaries after asking for money like that, which I also suspect was a greater amount than $2,000. I have a feeling that there was more than just asking for $2,000 that led them to not only cut off contact, but delete their socials and move. You're definitely not day home. Me too, but sadly I think I shut her out and she won't ever tell me the full truth. She's a very impulsive spender, so I see her asking for way more than that. Maybe that was the last straw, and they actually sent her money before in the past. I'm not sure. Not day home. It sounds like sister was hoping the adoptive parents would be a cash cow for her, but once the adoption is final, they hold all the cards. Yep. She thought that on top of the 5-star hotel, that they would continue to give her money. She acted like they sold them her children, and they still owe her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad he let my mom down? My parents were married for 24 years. I, 22 female, am their only child together. My dad had 2 sons and a daughter with his first wife. When I was a kid, they shared custody until their mom was sent to jail for something she did to my mom. Before that, she really made sure my half-siblings hated my mom, and they treated her terribly. They called CPS on her twice, claiming she was mistreating them, which she wasn't. And the second time, my mom moved out with me, so my dad could be the only adult in the home with them. They stayed married and they tried to work on a family unit, but my siblings weren't interested. And as soon as their mom got released, they moved in with her and we moved back in with my dad. Dad still chased my half-siblings and tried to make us a family. My mom was diagnosed with cancer when I was 11, and she fought like hell for 11 years. My dad ended up being her caregiver, and he did a good job in some ways, but he left her exposed to my half-siblings. I want to say I blame them, but I know none of it would have happened without their mom. Still, when 14-year-old me found my half-sister telling my mom she couldn't wait for her to die, and how her mom was going to piss and defecate all over her grave and smear it everywhere, and my dad had asked my half-sister to stay with my mom, I knew there was also something wrong with them, because she was 20 at the time of the incident. It broke my mom, but she was fighting so hard to stay alive she forgot to fight for making her life overall better. My mom died 2 months ago. She wanted to live longer for me, but cancer took hold of her. My dad chased my half-siblings down and begged them to come to the funeral. He tried to encourage them to help us plan and be with us. My oldest half-brother showed up the night before the funeral to tell us his mom and siblings were so freaking glad she was dead, and the world was a better place without my mom, because she was nothing but a nasty W who married someone else's sloppy seconds. I kicked him out so damn fast, but I was pissed at my dad too. I didn't tell him last week, as I mostly ignored him after the funeral, but he kept pushing lately, and so I replied. I told him he failed us. He let my mom down when she needed him the most, and he chose 3 people so full of hatred that they act like monsters. I told him I couldn't even look at him. A lot of my dad's siblings got involved because they feel I was too harsh after the loss he suffered, and now it's making me feel a tiny bit bad. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your dad put you and your mom through horrible treatment for years for the sake of trying to form a family bond with his first family. Not the a-hole. I was waiting for someone to mention that Opie got traumatized due to the spineless dad. Opie, you have to start a new life for yourself. And if you want to go low contact or no contact with your dad, that is up to you. Cut anyone who was not/is not supportive of you. Have therapy and live a good life, and leave them to karma to find them. Don't let them all mess with you too. Not day home. Sounds like your father let a lot of people down, including your half-siblings who never learned to properly cope with or accept the fact that he moved on from their mother and remarried. That was a failure on the adults in your family, and how they managed communication amongst you all while growing up. There is, however, no excuse for how they treated your mother, and I agree that her care and comfort should have been the priority. I don't know. An adult came to say they were happy Opie's mom died? Sounds like they're just at the core not good people. Please never speak to your half-siblings again. I don't understand how you don't hate them. I'm petty, and the hatred I would feel for them would be never-ending. Never have any contact with them or any kids they may have. Not Day-Ho. You told the truth after I kept pushing it. Where were all these aunts and uncles while the stepkids were being monsters to your mom? Did they tell the stepkids they were being too harsh and downright hateful to your mom? No? Then ignore them. Sorry about your mom. Peace and kindness to you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to get rid of my daddy's #1 princess t-shirt? I, 20 female, lost my dad 2 years ago, and since then, it's been revealed that he had another daughter, Amanda, 25 female. Before my dad met my mom, he was involved with another woman and dumped her when he found out that she was engaged to another man. The guy was military and overseas, so my dad had no way of contacting him, and he didn't know the woman well enough to reach out to any mutual friends, although my dad did later regret not trying harder. Unbeknownst to my dad, he accidentally got her pregnant, and she tried to pass Amanda off as her fiancée, but it didn't work. She eventually married someone else but later divorced, and the guy completely cut contact. Because of this, Amanda always wanted to know who my dad was, and tried reaching out to him but didn't have much luck because, again, they didn't know each other long. My dad wasn't from there. He moved away and changed his contact information. Eventually, Amanda got a hit through 23andMe through my cousin and reached out. By that time, my dad was already gone, but his parents, siblings, and their children were more than welcoming. My brother and I were pretty weirded out by this, and since our dad wasn't on her birth certificate, we didn't believe her until there was a DNA test. I wish I could say that this was a magical moment where we all hugged and are now besties, but honestly, I don't feel this strong familial tie to her because I didn't grow up with her. My brother says he feels the same, but we both make the effort to be nice when she's around. Now, up until Amanda came around, I was my dad's only daughter, and because of this, he had a lot of daddy's favorite daughter type of things because I was his only daughter at the time. It was like a fun little joke between us. Out of all the things he's given me in relation to this theme that I cherish most, is a custom-made t-shirt he got me with a picture of us at a father-daughter dance when I was 12, and the caption, Daddy's #1 princess. It was one of the last things my dad ever gave me, and I love it very much. I never showed it to Amanda, but I guess someone else told her, and she gently confronted me about it and asked me to get rid of it and anything like this. She expressed how she's been in therapy to cope with never having a true father figure, and that her actual father died before ever meeting her, and knowing that I was his favorite daughter is really upsetting her. I told her that while I am sad about the situation and won't ever bring it up around her, I am not getting rid of it. I thought Amanda and I had an understanding, until my aunt called and berated me for not being respectful to my sister's feelings, and that getting rid of a t-shirt that I don't even wear is a small sacrifice. Because I at least have the memories of having a loving father while Amanda doesn't. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Because I keep seeing this, I just wanted to clarify certain things. 1. My mom and dad were never married, and broke up before I was born. And I'm currently living with her, so that's where the bulk of my daddy's #1 princess type of things are there. And Amanda has no reason to come to my mom's house, so I'm not worried about things going missing. 2. I've spoken to my brother, and he agrees that so long as I don't wear them and/or bring them up around Amanda, I should have the right to keep them. 3. My grandparents are trying to stay neutral in this because they see both sides to the argument. Now for the comments. Not day-hole. Amanda is the one not respectful of your feelings. How can she ask you to get rid of your memories from your father? She just sounds jealous. Given the situation, I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't blame her. I wouldn't blame her either, but I do blame your aunt for not minding her own business. Not day-hole. If family's coming after you, you should pack up these types of mementos and put them somewhere safe. One of them could take it upon themselves to get rid of something they think you shouldn't have. I second this. People do weird stuff, and this sounds like something your aunt would do, or convince someone to do, to try to make Amanda happy. Not day-hole. Absolutely not day-hole. You were objectively the favorite if he never even met her, first off. Her loss isn't your responsibility to deal with. Your memories and keepsakes from your father are 100% yours to hold on to. I have 2 siblings, and when I give my mom a present, I always sign it, "From your favorite child," even though we all know she loves us equally. But no one is ever offended because that's just silly. My brother does the same thing. He is the only boy in the family, so he often signs presents or cards with "from your favorite son/brother/sibling." But we all know it's a complete joke and no one is offended. Last story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for not forcing my son, 11 male, to like his stepsister, 15 female?" I, 29 female, had my son, 11 male, with my ex. My son is autistic and does not like it when people touch his belongings. When I had him, my ex decided he didn't want to be a father and abandoned us. My parents were lifesavers, and they took care of him when I had to attend college classes. I work full-time now and live in a great apartment. My ex reached out when son turned 8 and wanted to meet him. I brought him to a nearby park and we came to an agreement that son can stay with ex every other weekend. I bought my son a Switch for his 8th birthday, and he brings it with him everywhere. My ex also has been seeing a girl for the past couple of months who has a daughter, 15 female. My son came back home yesterday and didn't speak to me at all when I picked him up. I was extremely worried and called my ex when I got home. And he told me that son wasn't letting girlfriend's daughter play on the Switch, and he grabbed it out of son's hand. Girlfriend's daughter dropped it down the stairs, and it has a huge crack in the screen. I went to talk to my son and told him that I would be happy to get him a new Switch and any game that he wants. He was very happy, but told me that he didn't want to go back to ex's house anymore because the daughter was mean to him. And I told him that I was not going to force him to do anything he didn't want. Now my ex wanted to take my son this coming weekend, and I told him that we had plans to go to a theme park and that son didn't want to go over to the house anymore. I told my ex it's because the daughter made my son very uncomfortable. My ex flipped out and accused me of keeping son away from him, but I had enough at that point and hung up on ex. Am I the a-hole for not forcing son to like girlfriend's daughter? Edit. I do have full custody of my son and did suggest having ex come over to the apartment, but he refused. Not the a-hole. He's being a prick to your son and abandoned you and your son 11 years ago. He doesn't suddenly have a claim over him. Yeah, I don't think I'd rush the son into hanging out with the father overnight. Maybe for a couple hours. The father is a stranger to the child. I'm wondering if the dad's girlfriend suggested he get back into the kid's life because the girlfriend has a kid of her own. Not the a-hole. That 15-year-old is a huge a-hole for trying to steal and subsequently breaking a child's toy. She should know better. He's also autistic, so she should be extra aware of being tactful. He said he doesn't want to be around the daughter, not the father. His father can visit him without the daughter, or have him over when she's not there. The reaction to the daughter breaking the son's property is quite telling. Not a lot was mentioned about it, and therefore I deduced that not much was done. Not much was done probably due to the fact the father is trying to appease his girlfriend. Take into account that's not even his daughter. It sounds like he's putting more consideration into his stepdaughter's sentiments than his own son. I could be completely off base. He also refused other arrangements, like meeting at another place. I really don't care if the kid is 1, 11, or 111. If you damage my property, you are obligated to make amends. And it would only be reasonable for the kid not to trust him. I don't see the father being an advocate for his son in this in any of the information given. And damn it, I wish I was wrong on this. He is using his own son as a pawn in a game of clout. I think the son is a sharp kid. It is catching on. Not the a-hole. Your ex is trying to impress his new potential squeeze. It is an a-hole. Be careful about violating court orders and the long-term impact that might have on you. I was ordered full custody of my son. I have no issue letting my ex see my son, but I want son to be comfortable. I did suggest ex coming over to the apartment, but he refused. Am I the a-hole for going off on my sister for saying her bio kids are our kids? So, my older sister has 5 kids by different men. Her first child was abandoned to my mother shortly after birth. Her second child was attempted to be given to a co-worker at 9 months old. Attempted, as in the co-worker offered to babysit the kid, but was surprised when she got baby's diaper bag with birth certificate, social security card, and a note saying, "You keep the little witch, I don't want her." Social services ended up getting involved, and my mother got her as well. Next 2 children are with both of their wonderful dads, and 5th is currently with her after the dad kicked them both out. From the entire time my mom had the kids, my sister never once visited, or specifically, called about them. She'd call sharing some news, then as an afterthought she would ask about the first kid, but never the second, before she hung up the phone. My mom died a year ago, and my husband and I offered to take the two now teenagers. My sister was all for it. She came around and talked to them for a little bit, filled their heads with stories of how she tried everything she could to be with them, and pretty much telling them that she wasn't in their lives because a series of unfortunate events. So we have the kids now for a year, and during this time my sister has made efforts to ask about them. She has bought them gifts, and she occasionally Skyped with them. I will mention though that I allowed their relationship to grow as long as all three parties were okay with it. At first I would set up awkward Skype calls where they all tried to get to know each other once a week. After a couple months I told everyone that I won't be setting it up anymore, that they are free to talk to each other whenever they'd like, without feeling pressured. After that, things kind of just went cold, and the kids said they just don't feel comfortable with it. The last factor to take in consideration is this. When my husband and I were filing paperwork, my sister looked over the form, and she said she agrees to everything on the form. Us being responsible for insurance, us having physical and legal custody, except the parts where she has to pay child support. She said she was in arrears for never paying child support for her kids, and she wouldn't be able to get a driver's license if she had to owe even more. So she wouldn't sign until we agreed to not ask for child support. One thing that has been bothering me, when I text my sister, she always asks about our kids. How is our kids doing? She hasn't been there for these kids for all but the last year of their lives, and refuses to financially support them at all. And she has the nerve to call them our kids? I finally snapped and told her as much. I later got a text from my other two sisters saying that it wasn't called for, that my sister is their birth mother, and that she has been trying with the kids lately. Now I'm wondering if I was being an a-hole to my sister and should apologize. My sister was really upset about it. She said she was the one that gave birth to them, and I was just the aunt, and said she wanted to be nice and say they were both of our kids. Now for the top comments. Not today, Hull. Your sister was an egg donor for you and your parents' children. Nothing she has done has shown her to be a mother. Funny how the one who gave birth to them has never spent any time raising them. It would be odd to just tell her sister that she's not welcome in her home or around her kids. She doesn't come in my home. We live across the country from each other. And luckily, the kids don't seem to want anything to do with her. And she doesn't really ask to talk to them. She really just talks to me about them and sends them gifts. Not a-hole. She's probably only making an effort now because they're teenagers, and she figures most of the work has already been done, so it's safe to connect with them now. I bet she never asked about them when they were little because she was worried someone might make her take them back. They're also getting to be of age where they can get jobs. Gotta get on their good side now so she can hit them up for money later. I'm hoping that won't happen. The kids learned a bit about my sister from my mom. When they ask me about things they want to fact check, I either say, yes, I know for a fact that is true. No, I know mom is lying, or I wasn't there for that, so I don't know for sure. The kids seem to have made up their minds already about how they feel about her without my influence, so hopefully they wouldn't feel obligated if that situation arose. Not a-hole. Okay, so you snapped, but it's clear why you did. Those kids are yours because you're the one sane adult who stepped in to raise them. To heck with what your sisters and their texts are saying. They aren't the ones raising someone else's children. They can say whatever they want, but you are still the better person. Good on you for being there for those kids. Thank you. I really appreciate hearing that. After everyone turned on me, I started to really feel horrible. I felt like I had no right to be upset at my sister who is trying to get back in their lives. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my partner that my stepson spends too much time at our home and his mother needs to make more of an effort? Okay, so I've been dating this guy now for nearly 8 months. We've been living together for 2. Everything was going great and we're like best friends and have so much in common. But his 4-year-old son is now proving to be a bit of a strain on our relationship, and I feel like I can't take him anywhere. His son throws tantrums, slams doors when he doesn't get what he wants, smashing the glass on my sister's door. When we buy him things, he says, I didn't want that or I don't like it. When we take him to a store, he picks up everything he sees and throws tantrums when he doesn't get them. Spits his food out when we cook for him, tells us he doesn't like us, making my 7-year-old niece cry when he says horrible things to her as well as throwing her things off of our balcony, etc. He's a nightmare. Let me just add that his dad always has to buy him new toys every time he takes him out, which I told him he shouldn't. His mother is now treating us like a daycare. And she had him for 1 day last week and having him for 2 next week, while she goes on holiday with her new boyfriend and going out with friends. My partner is now currently unemployed, and I'm the main breadwinner and struggling to support all 3 of us due to having to buy extra food and more gas and electric usage. I'm also woken up at 7 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday because my stepson wants the iPad charging or more games downloading, when weekends are supposed to be my time after working all day Monday to Friday. I don't finish until 8 p.m. I told my partner this has to stop, and my place cannot be treated like a daycare. He needs to either A, take him out weekends, or B, rotate it so we have him every other weekend. I feel like my life has been taken over as well as my apartment. As his son has his own bedroom and my things have been taken out of drawers and placed into plastic bags, which I'm now living out of. My partner is struggling being away from his son, and I feel horrible for giving him ultimatums. But I feel I need to look after myself too, as I never did in my last relationship. I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I feel this whole living situation is making things worse. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I am not trying to stop my partner seeing a son. I am merely implying that the kid needs routine and equal time with both mom and dad on rotating days, in which my partner also agrees. I know they come as a package, and I'm willing to take this on, but neither parent is financially supporting this child. Everyone sucks here. Your house is not being treated like a daycare. It's being treated like the home of a child's parent, which it is. You are in a relationship with a parent. You either need to come to terms that he might wind up with his kid full-time, or you need to not be in a relationship with a parent. Little kids get up early, and if that bothers you, you should not be living with a kid and his parent. Not at all reasonable to tell the parent that his child just needs to not exist in your space. Your partner sucks for putting you in a position where you are living out of bags in your own home, for not disciplining his child, for spoiling his child, for putting the entire burden of supporting himself and his child on you. But here's the thing, he is not going to change. This is how he parents. This is how he deals with his ex. You've been dating less than a year and this guy already has you supporting him. You are feeling mental health effects. You are struggling financially. Looking after yourself is the correct choice, but the way you are doing it is not okay. The 4-year-old is a product of the parenting he is being provided. Your boyfriend is showing you what to expect. So either accept and get on board with a kid taking over your life because that's what they do, or move this guy back out and think about whether this relationship will work long term. Everyone sucks here. Based on your post history, there is a lot more going on here. You jumped right into moving in with a man you've been with for 6 months, after only recently leaving a horrible man you were with for 11 years. You have still been posting about the ex in a very real, active way since this new relationship started. You are not ready to move on. What you are doing isn't healthy for you, for your new boyfriend, and for the child. You need time alone, a therapist, and peace and quiet. Leave. This is not a healthy dynamic for anyone, and it's up to you to take the reins and fix that. Everyone sucks here. Your partner may have some good qualities, but he sounds like a pretty crappy parent, and that's unlikely to change. And the fact that he has a kid really isn't going to change. So you need to think about whether or not you can live with that. You have not been turned into a daycare. Your partner has a kid. This is the deal when you date someone with a kid. If mom dies or pieces out, you're gonna have this kid 24/7. I encourage you to have some empathy for the kid too. He is a little person with some big feelings who has been shunted around his whole life and is likely given everything he wants because the parents feel some guilt. He's doing what's been reinforced. FYI, I don't blame the child for his behavior. His behavior is down to the parents, and I believe he needs some stability in his life. I hope you realize that having him and your partner move in when you only knew him for 6 months is likely a big factor in this lack of stability. I'm going to have a word with my partner tonight. I was happy leaving it 12 months before meeting a son, but my partner couldn't wait that long. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole because I didn't want to keep giving my sister money? I'm 19 female and I recently started a new temporary job a few weeks ago that I love. I finally heard back from this field trip instructor / teaching assistant job where I help at the school and they pay me and everybody $16 per hour because of the travel and hard work. I feel like I made the mistake of answering my sister, 26 female, when she asked how much I was making. And now she's been asking me for favors or wanting to be close lately. Her boyfriend, 27 male, and her make minimum wage, which is a little above $8 per hour in our state. So since money has been an issue for them, I guess that's why she has been asking me for some in small amounts. But it piles up. Like her $20 for groceries and $15 to buy takeout is going to pile up, and I've probably given $100. It doesn't bother me that much since I still have enough for savings, but I feel like all of a sudden my sister sees me as a moneymaker. So I tried to back away or spend less, but she caught on. I don't know if they'll censor it, but she called me the C word and a witch for turning my back on family now that I'm doing better than them. It's starting to get to me emotionally because she was never like this. And I know she's not good with money either since she gives it to her boyfriend for spending, so she doesn't have much either. Am I the a-hole really? Because I've tried to put a stop to giving her money. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. It ain't your job to subsidize her. If she needs money for takeout, she can get a second job. Or buy actual groceries, which are way cheaper. Or food pantry, community meals, food kitchens, EBT, or any other available programs. Not the a-hole. You do not owe her a penny. Takeout? Takeout is a luxury. Why would you fund her luxury items? Agreed. Not the a-hole. We are comfortable, and I still hesitate to get takeout. It's expensive, and we have groceries that were just bought. I still consider it a luxury due to its expense. Not the a-hole. She's using you for your money. She's the a-hole. What is stopping her from getting a higher paying job? She finished her university education, but she hasn't been able to get one that pays more despite applying everywhere. And it's not just me she's asking, but also other people too, like my mother, our aunt and cousin, etc. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for buying a toy that I only want my nephew to use at my house and not letting my sister-in-law take home? Yesterday morning, I, 25 female, found a Power Wheels John Deere tractor at a yard sale that didn't work, but it was only $15. And I thought it was worth getting for my nephew, 3 male, to see if my boyfriend, 27 male, could fix it. I moved in with my boyfriend last weekend, and he has a big field that I thought my nephew would love to ride it in. I bought it yesterday morning, and then yesterday evening after my boyfriend got off of work, we took his truck to the house and picked it up. They also had a little trailer that went with it that they threw in for free. My boyfriend and his friend worked on it for like an hour once we got home, and ended up getting it working by taking apart the gear shifter and cleaning the electrical connections inside it. I was pretty excited to show my nephew. Every month, I spend a day watching my nephew so that my brother, 28 male, and sister-in-law, 28 female, can relax and get stuff done. I also really enjoy spending time with him. Normally, I'll take him to the zoo or the beach or someplace like that, but he is potty training right now, and I didn't feel comfortable going anywhere. So I decided to just hang out with him at my house with my boyfriend and give him the tractor to drive around. He had a blast with the tractor. He would drive around the field, pick up sticks and rocks and put them in the trailer and then move them somewhere else. He had a huge grin the entire time, and by the time the battery went dead, he was getting pretty good at driving it. When my sister-in-law came to pick him up, he showed her his new tractor and she wanted to put it in their SUV to take home. I said that I preferred the tractor to stay at my house so that he would be excited to come over and play with it, and they don't have a very big yard to drive it in anyway. She then proceeded to say I was being an a-hole, in nicer words, for getting him a really cool present that he is only allowed to use at my house. Not an a-hole. There's nothing in this scenario any different than having a pool or tire swing that he'd be excited to play with, except it moves. And when he's older, he'll have fond memories of your house and the tractor. Not an a-hole. And the sister-in-law should be happy that Opie wants to keep toys around to entertain her nephew, instead of expecting sister-in-law to bring things with her every time to keep him occupied. Not to mention, it's pretty petty to call Opie an a-hole over that, when Opie's willing to give up time just to make sure her brother and sister-in-law can have some time away from the kid. That's not an obligation on Opie's part. That's a courtesy. Not an a-hole. My mother has always kept toys at her house for when she babysat grandkids, and it was understood that these toys were specifically for when the kids visited. I think your sister needs to understand that as well. Not to mention if you have other nieces or nephews, eventually this will be something for them to play with when they come visit you. Not day hall. It's like if you let him play with an iPad. That's something he can do when he visits your house. It obviously isn't something he gets to take home because he likes it so much. If he likes it so much, the mom could go buy him one for their house. But you are definitely in your right for keeping it at your house because it's yours, and you could even keep it for when you have kids. If you want kids, of course. Did the boy know it was going to stay at your house? If so, not day hall. But the members of our family who have had kids over keep toys at their house. It makes life easier. I think that's a great idea. I didn't really present it as a gift or anything to him. As far as he knows, it's just part of my boyfriend's tractor collection. He has a big tractor and riding mower, so this one looks really cute sitting next to them. This was the first time he has ever been to this house too.